Hi guys, and welcome to another video from Stupid is the Norm, the channel where we demonstrate how to become a millionaire in 10 years whilst earning only minimum wage. And in this video I'm going to tell you all the things that I did in my life that kept me poor and why you shouldn't do them. Now this week's topic was suggested by one of you wonderful guys out there who left a comment on one of the previous videos and said, why don't you tell us all the mistakes you've made in the past, all the things that you did that prevented you from becoming wealthy, and then we won't have to make them. So I thought, well, that's interesting, that is actually a good idea. So here's a little, not a snapshot, but a compressed life of what my life was like before I started and become wiser at the age of 57 and decided to make £1 million. So life was going pretty well up to about the age of 24. I was at that time a petty officer surveyor in the Navy. I spent 12 years eventually on ocean research ships. I had 30 grand in the bank, which in 1985 I think was a lot of money. So I was doing quite well until that stage, and then I got a girlfriend, got married, bought a house, had my first child and left the Navy, all in quick succession. And then it went downhill from there on. Now, like many service people, I struggle to fit in, having spent 12 years in the forces, not because of any PTSD or anything like that, just because you're, I think, continue looking for a job that provides the variety and the excitement that being in the forces does. And so I struggled to settle down and went from meaningless job to meaningless job until I eventually became self-employed. And I set up a business that used to go around collecting information on people moving house, and we did this by employing people to drive around pretty much every street in the country, and where they saw a house for sale board, they'd record the information about that house. And then we'd sell that data to people like British Telecom, Barclays Bank, British Gas, and they'd rent to them and say, hi, I understand you're moving house, would you like our product in your new home? Always going swimmingly well until my biggest customer went into liquidation, owed me £44,000. Now £44,000 was a lot of money, a colossal amount of money to me then, and there's no way I could get over and pay it all off, so I was forced into personal bankruptcy in 2000. My wife had to buy me out my share of the house, and she did that by going to Marks and Spencer's and getting a personal loan, and that was given to the bankruptcy court, who then distributed amongst the creditors. For 6 years back then, you weren't allowed a bank account. Any changes in your income you had to report to the bankruptcy court. A pretty harrowing time for everybody involved, I have to say. But anyway, you get through it after 6 years and you're rehabilitated back into society. You can get a bank account. My name went back on the house, on the mortgage. And after doing a few jobs, I got the opportunity to invest in a holiday business, an established holiday business, a golf holiday business. I did my due diligence. I went to the offices, spent a couple of days in the offices, listened to the phones ring, listened to them selling holidays. I visited the owner of the business at his villa in Spain and his private yacht in Portugal. And I, with the permission of my wife, refinanced the house, took £40,000 out to invest in this company. And a month or two later they went into liquidation, taking my £40,000 with me. So it's the second time in the space of less than 10 years I'd lost £40,000 or so, which is a lot of money. You know, if you're again making minimum wage and you lose 40 grand twice, many people don't survive the first one, but I had to go through two of those things. So I always say that the measure of a person is not how many times you get knocked down, but how many times you get back up. So I just got back up again and went through a series of jobs, including, and not in this order, but I was head of business development for a packaging company. I was sales director for a property franchise, had a workwear business. I was a wedding singer, a car park attendant. I sold hooky clothes from a market stall, and then I went into business with a so-called friend of mine. We took a pub on. And we took this pub on, and it was doing about £1,000 a week. It was on its knees. It was a lovely pub though, in a nice area. And we were given the task of raising the intake to about £3,000 a week, which we did very quickly. And in fact, in 6 months, on one bank holiday weekend and one Sunday, in fact, we took £10,000. And then some months after that, I walked away because two reasons. First of all, I was bored. It just become a routine. And secondly, I got the distinct impression I was doing all the work. So that was age 57, and I took another job behind a bar to help a friend out, worked behind a bar. So I was 57, it's minimum wage, all bar work is pretty much minimum wage. I had £10,000 of credit card debt. Yes, after going bankrupt, I managed to rack up another £10,000. And I had no money in the bank. It was then I started on my journey. I made a decision to become a millionaire in 10 years whilst earning that minimum wage. And the rest, as they say, is history. 5 years into that plan, I'm now 62. I've just bought my 4th house, my first serviced accommodation. Should have enough saved up to buy another one within 12 months, and that will take my gross rents touching about £100,000. All in 5 years whilst earning only minimum wage. So, the takeaways. What can you learn from my mistakes from there? The first one is, well, on your route to wealth or whatever your goal is, you're going to fail many times. It's almost like a condition of success. Nobody can be 100% successful, so therefore you're going to have some failures. But it's important you just keep going. You get knocked down, you pick yourself back up, get back on your feet and back in the race. Don't give up, don't stop moving forward. The second takeaway is, it's never too late. I was 57 when I started. I see so many people hit late 40s and 50s and think, well, that's it, my time's over. It's never too late. You can start as late as me. In fact, you could start later than me. If you knew what I do now and you follow the videos, you know what to do. You can start later than 57 and still have a fantastic life ahead of you. The next thing is, you've got to be prepared to do anything. I was prepared to sell clothes from a market stall, sing in pubs and restaurants and weddings, a car park attendant. You don't have time for pride or ego. If something needs doing, if you've got bills to pay, you just got to do anything, providing it's legal, of course. So on your route to wealth, if what you have to do to make more money is go out and deliver some pizza, then you get out and deliver pizza. If there is one thing, and I tell everybody this, if there's one thing that turned my life around, at age 57, for the first time in my life, I had a goal. Not only did I have a goal, but I had a plan to achieve the goal. So that's the key element you take away from here. You need a goal and you need a plan to achieve your goal. Also, never forgetting, don't be stupid and don't be normal, guys. Please, as usual, leave your comments below and give this a thumbs up if you've enjoyed the video. See you again.